Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you and to participate in our virtual trade week. I'd also like to thank all of you for taking time out of your own busy schedules to join us, and I hope you found this week's sessions to be informative and beneficial. Before I get started, I'd like to acknowledge today's solemn anniversary. September 11th, 2001 was a uniquely tragic day for our nation. It touches each of us personally as we vividly remember where we were on that fateful day. The very existence of CBP was born out of the events of that day. This was a significant action on the part of our government, and we should never lose sight of that. CBP is a diverse agency, and our responsibilities are not limited to just border security. We are a national security agency. In the intervening 19 years, we've grown stronger and more sophisticated in the ways we protect our country. Together, we have taken countless steps to safeguard lawful travel and facilitate lawful trade. When we reflect on the past 19 years, there's no doubt that we've seen an incredible transformation in many aspects of global trade and in how we all work together. A spirit of collaboration guides our ongoing efforts between government and industry, between CBP and all of you, our trade stakeholders. From the earliest days of the Customs Trade Partnership Against Terrorism, or CTPAT, to the latest technology-driven chatbot that we've set up to field your questions about the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, we protect the United States together. That same kind of teamwork is currently on display as we confront the COVID-19 pandemic. This week, you've heard from many of CBP's subject matter experts on some of the most important trade facilitation enforcement areas of focus, from USMCA and forced labor to CTPAT and e-commerce. The global supply chain remains robust, and the work we do together continues to fuel our nation's economic engine in ways that are vital to our stature as the world's most powerful trading partner. However, against the backdrop of all of this activity is COVID-19, a global public health crisis that has affected us all, personally and professionally. For CBP, the pandemic did not change our fundamental trade mission, making sure that lawful cargo keeps moving while preventing the entry of unlawful and potentially dangerous products. CBP continues to move trade through our ports of entry effectively, despite COVID-19. As the influx of travelers declined this spring, we quickly reassigned CBP officers and other employees as needed to help process incoming cargoes. Some of that cargo has been life-saving, and we're tremendously proud that we could facilitate the arrival of key medical and public safety supplies. An April 2nd presidential memorandum invoked the Defense Production Act, which gave the administration the authority to retain scarce medical resources such as personal protective equipment, or PPE, within the United States for domestic use. We continue to work closely with our colleagues at FEMA and other agencies to make sure these critical supplies are reaching those in our communities that need them most. To that end, CBP established the COVID-19 Cargo Resolution Team, or as we call it, the CCRT, to facilitate critical shipments of PPE and to resolve cargo admissibility issues for legitimate trade. The CCRT created an online portal to triage inquiries and provide up-to-date guidance from CBP with links to guidance from the FDA. To date, the portal has received more than 24,000 views, and the CCRT has fielded approximately 2,500 inquiries, resolving cargo holds and expediting the release of critical imports. The CCRT has also helped secure the importation of over $2 billion in COVID-19 related supplies. In addition, we've worked closely with FEMA to support Project Airbridge and other FEMA procurements. CBP has successfully expedited the clearance of over 400 flights at 17 different airports, facilitating the importation of over 1.3 billion pieces of PPE. And now, that same CCRT is engaged with the Department of Health and Human Services to support Operation Warp Speed, which aims to deliver 300 million doses of safe, effective COVID-19 vaccine by January of next year. Our commitment to this whole-of-government approach has never been more important than it is right now. Not surprisingly, CBP has seen a relentless quest by bad actors to profit from the pandemic, trying to bring unauthorized, unproven, and potentially unsafe goods into the United States. I can tell you that CBP will never falter in our mission to safeguard the public from fake and unsafe products. We've been targeting and inspecting imports and exports that may contain counterfeit, non-FDA licensed medical commodities, and various other illicit goods. The public health and economic security of our nation demands our vigilance every day, and as always, our frontline employees have remained up to the task. Since the beginning of the pandemic, CBP has seized more than 140,000 FDA-prohibited test kits and more than 12 million counterfeit masks. Through it all, we've constantly striven to earn and keep the confidence of our trade stakeholders and of the public. While the pandemic has undoubtedly made some aspects of our work more challenging, working together, we haven't missed a step. One of the most important aspects of effective partnerships is sharing information and continual learning. Acting Commissioner Morgan discussed this on Tuesday when he outlined CBP's continuing commitment to transparency, communications, and collaboration. Moving forward together is best accomplished through an exchange of knowledge and understanding, and I believe our mutual success depends on it. An excellent example of this pursuit is a special task force stood up late last year to explore continuing education possibilities for customs brokers. Given the changes we've seen over the past 5 to 10 years in the global trade environment, many of us collectively saw an opportunity to create and refine some uniform standards of practice in the licensed broker community. Directly responding to a request by our trade stakeholders, CBP created the Customs Broker Continuing Education Task Force. This task force is comprised of representatives from our Office of Trade, members of the Commercial Operations Advisory Committee, or COAC, and licensed customs brokers from around the country, many of whom have decades of valuable trade and broker experience. The task force is working hard to develop a framework for a continuing education program for brokers. The program recognizes several key considerations, including that accredited education must be available from a variety of content providers. It also recognizes that continuing education must be easily accessible by all businesses, large and small. We've taken into account the excellent feedback that we've received from our trade stakeholders and will work diligently to continue making progress on this important effort. Our next and last panel for Virtual Trade Week is on the 21st Century Customs Framework. As many of you are aware, the 21st Century Customs Framework is CBP's comprehensive trade modernization initiative. Its goal is to address modern trade challenges, seize emerging opportunities, and achieve transformational long-term change. Prior to the 21st Century Customs Framework, the last comprehensive trade transformation effort culminated in the 1993 passage of the Customs Modernization Act. This was a landmark piece of legislation at that time, but since then, the growth in e-commerce, rapid technological change, and the continued expansion of the global marketplace have changed the face of trade. The 21st Century Customs Framework is pursuing transformational reforms to help set the stage for sustainable industry success, enhanced security, and improved economic competitiveness in the 21st century and beyond. We're currently developing some legislative changes that'll open the door to a more efficient and effective trade environment for years to come. These legislative changes focus on 4 things: modernizing our approach to responsible parties, updating enforcement authorities, removing data sharing barriers, and reforming our consequence delivery processes for trade violations. Throughout all of this, CBP has worked hand in hand with our trade stakeholders. Your input has laid the foundation for the framework, helping us refine our approach, focus our efforts, and set us all up for success as we work through our next phases of development. We're very aware that when it comes to effective implementation, the devil's in the details, So CBP remains committed to ensuring that the trade community has every meaningful opportunity through regulatory notice and comment, the COAC, and other routine engagements to help develop regulatory, policy, and operational improvements. We'll delve into each of these concepts more during the 21st Century Customs Framework panel. And so in closing, I'd like to thank you all once again for participating in CBP's Virtual Trade Week. I hope you enjoy our last session, and I look forward to seeing and meeting with as many of you as I can in the very near future. Stay well and be safe. Thank you.